Miami. Many call it the capital of Latin America and the Caribbean. Some 100,000 Haitians call the city home. Zopound, one of the city's most notorious gangs, was started by Haitian immigrants steeped in a culture of violence.
There was no rules when we was dealing with. There's no rules in war.
These immigrants are refugees from the poverty, disease, and repression of their native country. Haiti is the poorest country in the Western Hemisphere. Some 80% of its people live below the poverty line. Barely half its population is literate. And the national AIDS rate is the highest in the West, up to 13% in some areas.
People are victims of the social and economic injustice. Anyone who talked about Haiti and say, well, they talk about the poverty that exists there.
Miami's first Haitian immigrants fled in the 1970s to escape the murderous dictatorship of Francois Papadoc Duvalier. The refugees crowded onto old, unsafe boats and attempted to make the harrowing 700-mile trip from Haiti to South Florida.
There were successive boatloads of refugees arriving here, fleeing the country, fleeing the brutality, fleeing the uncertainty, feeling the political repression.
Those who didn't drown or weren't turned back by the U.S. Coast Guard settled mainly in the Miami metro area. They ended up in low-income neighborhoods, including what would become Little Haiti.
Out of all immigrants, I guess society pushed us to the lowest of the low.
In the early 80s, most Haitian immigrants were unskilled laborers who had to work 2 or more jobs just to meet basic family needs.
I mean, it was rough on them, minimum wage, struggling to keep food on the table, pay rent, sometime behind on rent. You know, it was rough.
I ain't had too much money and we was living like in a little shack, you know what I'm saying?
Red Eyes joined Zopound while in his early teens. As a child, he and his friends had trouble fitting in with other kids in the neighborhood.
You know, the American kids, they was wearing jeans and the sneakers and the fly Jordans, etc., etc. You know, so when you looking at that, you look, you know, you go to wanting that.
The Haitians were often bullied by other children.
They catch a vulnerable Haitian person that's walking to or from class or to or from school, and a mob of kids will jump on them for no reason at all.
See, in those days, because of those things was happening to Haitians on Fridays, they called Haitian Fridays, they would jump to Haitians.
Jean remembers one fight when he was 12.
I was in the lunch line, and a kid decided to skip me. He was a bigger kid, so he kind of did me up really well. But I stood there and I fought toe to toe. And I got hurled. I mean, I was called Haitian, stank, cat eater, everything under the sun.
Jean and his friends realized they were tougher together than alone. In 1990, they formed Zopound.
Zopound was created my 11th grade year because now you run the risk of you getting jumped.
Those people put their minds together and formed a unit and said, we're not gonna go down like that. We ain't finna let these people take over us and make us no slaves. You know what I'm saying?
Zopound was the most powerful of many Haitian gangs that formed in Miami, all loosely organized around their neighborhoods. They called themselves cliques. Their goals were simple.
Most of them, it was to get respect. To get respect and to get power and to get money.
Money brings power also. You know what I'm saying? And that's what we was about, getting money.
Zopound figured out a surefire way to get that money. Selling narcotics.
I sold crack all my life, ever since I was 11 years old. While the other young boy was trying to, in the park, playing football or baseball, I was on the streets getting money.
The gang started to hang out on Northeast 56th Street and 1st. They dubbed their headquarters the White House.
We right here in Little Haiti, 56 and First, in front of the legendary White House where we used to hustle. Like I used to tell you, hustle. Sell a little weed, sell a little everything we can get our hands on, you know what I'm saying?
See, when you want to come find Zopound, come to the White House. You got any problem with Zopound? Come to the White House. Anything that went place in Little Haiti before it went down, they had to come to the White House. Plain and simple.
Believe that. We was young, fresh, swagged out. You know, we had our donks. Everybody with their candy paint.
In Haiti, Francois Duvalier's dictatorship had ended with a violent overthrow. By 1990, the country was a democracy and had elected a president, Jean-Bertrand Aristide. Then, in 1991, a military coup drove him out, and a second wave of Haitian immigrants flooded Miami. Many didn't speak English and had to rely on their children to translate.
The person that was doing your translating were the kids. And they only told their parents what they wanted to tell them.
The children soon realized they were in control. Some joined Zopound, which was turning from a group of dealers and thieves into hardcore gangsters.
We had muscle to do whatever we wanted to do in the hood.
We was in stealing cars and change the serial number, sell them. We wouldn't even rob banks, man. 94, 95 was when Zopound then became what you would call an official, recognized gang of killers.
Jean quit Zopound, convinced its primary goal was no longer to make money, but to commit murder. In his mind, the force behind the change wasn't rebellion, but the gang's deepening involvement in the drug trade.
We went from the weed to mixing. At the time, we called it bunk.
By 1997, Zopound had a favored method of getting drugs, pirating boats that smuggled Colombian cocaine.
The Colombians started setting up a hub in Haiti because they saw an opportunity to get their drugs to the United States through using these Haitian vessels.
The Miami River, with its miles of winding waterways and numerous available docks, was a natural setting for the smugglers.
It was easy. Come in, offload, and everybody's happy.
It also offered easy pickings for Zopound. Crew members that fought the pirates were beaten, tortured, and sometimes killed.
So people lost ears and fingers and certain body parts, to pertain the answers to what we needed to know.
Zopound established a fierce reputation on the streets, even among the hardest gangsters.
I have not found a group that's not afraid of them. Our Latin groups I tease with, why don't you set up shop back here? And they'll look at me and they'll, are you nuts? Those Haitians will kill you.
One Haitian gang, the Street Action Posse, or SAP, tried to challenge Zopound and paid a heavy price.
Yeah, a little bird flew over to us and told us that they was gearing up to come kill us. And they came and got what they asked for.
February 8th, 1996. SAP triggered its attack on Zopound.
They planned a hit on the Zopounds, an ambush. For some reason, the Zopound had gotten wind of this. Someone had tipped them off. And they laid an ambush waiting for the SAP boys to show up.
They had nothing better to do but try to with some who was doing some real, who was getting some real money, and they wanted part of it.
When SAP rolled into Zopound's neighborhood at North 56th Street and Miami Place, a fierce gunfight erupted.
They shot at